again, the convergence of blockchain and AI. Now, with AI, you can expect within this year, we're going to see deepfake so real, you cannot tell the difference. People watching this on live stream, they will not know what's in here.
We're not here.
We're having dinner somewhere else. So to counter that, you need some form of digital watermark. That is actually a cryptographic evidence
that this is real.
Yeah. It's my signature, his signature.
Who puts that? The tech companies? By the way, they're so excited at the back. They're trading crypto on the back of all these comments.
It's all your fault. No, we control our private key. It's going to be public
It'll be personal.
We'll have control.
It's going to be like your irises, your fingerprints. It'll be a digital.
But it's stored on blockchain.
Yeah.
Witnessed by the global population.
Everybody knows.
Cannot be faked.
Yeah. But does this change everything for just capital markets?
It will. Yeah. I mean, my gosh, if we could tokenize bonds and stocks tomorrow, one of the great things that BlackRock is being accused of is how much vote we have. I wouldn't vote anymore because we would be able, through tokenization, to know the owner of record instantaneous, and each owner of record will do their proxy voting. I would love that outcome. No, but it would democratize investing in all ways that we can't imagine.
Even political systems, how you vote in a country, can be changed by that.
And do you think that, again, the Trump administration will accelerate that?
I think they're moving that direction. How far they actually will go remains to be seen.
But if you do have a digital validator, like your fingerprints or your irises, I mean, you could tokenize voting. You could do everything. And so it will change how we think and how we live and what we do. And
we've been talking to some Southeast Asian governments, including Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia. All of them historically have the populations who are treating black market bitcoins and what have you. But now the governments are realizing U.S. is driving a global policy shift. So they're now doing something very clever. They're saying, you know what, we're going to issue a new form of digital ID to every single citizen. Along with that is a digital wallet.
Which Brazil, Brazil and India has already done.
You're both so fighting.
I mean, if you ask me right now, the thing that is not talked about enough, but is coming to your neighborhood faster than you think, this AI revolution is not made up. It's not overhyped. You are already, they're probably, I know, I was talking to some people backstage who are associated with businesses here in the Hartford community. I guarantee you're going to start seeing shifts in white-collar work as a consequence of what these new AI models can do. And so that's going to be more disruption, and it's going to speed up.
The thing that terrifies me is apparently there are still some financial institutions that will accept a voice print as authentication for you to like move a lot of money or do something else. You say a challenge phrase and they just do it. That is a crazy thing to still be doing. Like AI has fully defeated that. AI has fully defeated most of the ways that people authenticate currently, other than like passwords, but all of these like fancy, you know, take a selfie and wave or do your voice or whatever. I am very nervous that we have an impending, a significant impending fraud crisis because of this. We have tried, I think other people in our industry have tried to sort of warn people like, hey, just because we're not releasing the technology doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Some bad actor is going to release it. This is not a super difficult thing to do. This is coming very, very soon. And, you know, there's obviously some reports now of these sort of like ransom attacks where people have the voice of your kid or your parent and they make this urgent call. That is going to get so compelling. Society has to deal with this problem more generally, but people are going to have to change the way they interact. They're going to have to change the way they verify, like this person calling me. Right now it's a voice call. Soon it's going to be a video FaceTime. It'll be indistinguishable from reality. And teaching people how to authenticate in a world like that, how to think about, the fraud impacts. This is a huge deal.
Does the Prime Minister foresee a decline in religious tolerance in the near future in Singapore?
I do not foresee, I have already seen. That is the secret of tolerance, that you have a generation in charge, like me, by and large secular in our approach, definitely in how to govern a country, and only too ready to concede the spiritual to personal beliefs, to whichever religion or religious group can convince you, provided the two are kept separate, that the religion contests your right to believe in certain values, but not to the extent that you push a government into implementing those values at the expense of other groups. Muslims tell me that's not possible. Islam is a total, all-embracing philosophy. The charismatic Christians tell me the same. And if this goes on, we're going to have unpleasantness. My simple position is, let's stop it before it's too late. It's all silly. However hard the Christians can try, they are not going to make Singapore a Christian society. It's just not possible. So I tell these Christian groups, let's have a sense of proportion. Let's live and let live. You're not going to change the world. Maybe you change a few individuals for a very brief period of time, maybe a few years he gets excited and he's seen the light. But he's got to live. I think sensible, sensitive, but firm government will ride this patch. Soft government, trying to accommodate everybody, will lead to big mischief.
Good education means to create disobedience. When they ask me, what's good education? I said to create dissatisfaction, to create disobedience. I teach creativity and dissidence, and usually the first class, when I go to my class, I tell them I cannot teach creativity. I cannot teach dissidence. But what I can do is to undo what education did to you. Creativity is to use our common sense, to use our brains. But education prevents us from losing our brains. We use the brains of our professors, and we quote them all the time. We never quote ourselves, and we lose self-confidence by education, because that's how the educational system serves the political system. Each political system has a system of education to control the mind of the people. Without controlling the mind of the people, you cannot rule them, you cannot dominate them. And this is universal. And the education system is more or less a police system to control the mind. It's like to veil the mind, in fact. So my mind was veiled when I graduated from the medical college. I was a very good surgeon, very good physician, but I was ignorant of what's happening in the world. I asked myself, why people become poor? Why the society is divided to poor and rich and classes? Why men oppress women, etc. So this questioning, we are prevented from these questions by education. We become obedient to the system, to the professors, to university. And what is dissidence? Dissidence is to say no to a system that is very unjust. If the law is unjust, I have to break it. It's my right. This is common sense. Creativity means common sense. But when we are educated in a very fragmentary way. We receive pseudo-knowledge, not real knowledge. So I had to re-educate myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to class. Today, pretty much is like the continuation of where we were, where we was yesterday regarding the man of the moment. I mean, we have to give it to him though. Peter Obi, whatever that is pushing Peter Obi, I think respect has to be given to that man. I mean, but I saw one thing about his militants. Because his militants are all over the media already, from Catch, Ononuju to Dan Olosi to Kenneth Okonkwo to. One thing these people have in common is that they are all under the payroll of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Don't quote me anywhere. But they all speak for him. Even in the midst of trying to defend Obi or trying to support Obi or trying to make Obi's point, they can't let go of Atiku Abubakar in the mix. So it makes no sense to me for a minute until I listen to Festus Keyamo, and as he claimed, Mr. Danos, have you heard the pronounce him? Yeah, the first see the future, it's telling what is going on, what is going to happen. That the merger of those two votes, Atiku and Obi, which I kind of agree with him, I see it, but as I've always said, I don't believe Obi is that foolish, politically speaking. But with time, we'll see. Because if what Festus Keyamo put forward come to fruition, that nigga is foolish politically. But we have days ahead to prove that. So his men are out in town showing off. And I'm impressed, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of impressed how so far how they're pushing the narrative, it kind of make sense. But let's give a brief history and background and a summary of what I believe is what is unfolding or what is likely to come. Because from the beginning of this year, I don't talk and say 2027 election is not necessarily about defeating Bola Tinubu, but rather it's a fight between the rise of Peter Obi as a threat to the northern hegemony. If they allow this man to keep rising politically, there will be a problem come 2031. Whether Peter Obi, like it or not, he will be contesting. So that's my conclusion. That is my belief, and I will stick to that until 2031. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Peter Obi one-time proposal, again, after yesterday. A turn-by-turn agreement, because that's supporting that turn-by-turn agreement, to which make me believe that both Obi and all of them, they're all the same. They have a system that has been handed over to them or built by them, and they head bent on maintaining that system that disfranchised majority of the people. And I said it at the beginning of this year that Nigeria is due for negotiation. Whether the governing elite see that, realize that, and get to work to do it themselves, or we force them to do it. And it's not going to be funny, because people don't understand what is actually going on. That the revolution that people are keep clamoring about is happening right before our own very eye. All you need to do is just look outside your country. Donald Trump, yes, is part of the elite. He's part of the few fortunate one. But guess what? He has to see the future and decide to go with the majority, align with the poor. Because we might not like the faces, the representation of the other side, the poor majority. You might not like the people they choose, like Donald Trump, like Monday Paolo, and the young man rising in New York. You might not like them, but you got to recognize that there is a force behind these people. And failure to recognize that it's at your own peril. That's what is going on. And Obi seems to be that face when it comes to in Nigeria at the national level. And the North see that there is a threat to their own arrangements. A turn-by-turn agreement that sounds like a noble idea on paper, but crumbs under scrutiny when you project it into Nigerian complex political future, right? The concept of rotational presidency or a single-term deal might appeal to those craving fairness in a divided nation. But let's be real, it is a band-aid on a broken system, and it won't hold up in the long run. First off, the idea of one-time presidency assumed trust among Nigeria political elite. That's strange. That's strange. There's no trust among those motherfuckers. We all know. The North don't trust the West, don't trust the East, don't trust everybody, vice versa. So the idea that one-time president, somebody will actually propose that, and all the elites will say, hey, I say, it's bunkum. Anyway. Because in Abuja, the political elites trust that as a race, as trust is a rare, it's as rare as unicorn. In Abuja, they don't trust their fucking self. Politicians here don't play. They don't play no game. It's not about gentleman agreements. It must sound very noble. No, they don't play by gentleman agreement. They play to win. That's what power is about. To hold power and to keep it. That's human nature, if you ask me. That's human. It has nothing to do with a certain tribe, religion, or anybody. That's human. A turn-by-turn deal sounds nice until someone decides their turn isn't over. And we've seen it before. History backed this up. We've seen it. All you need to do is to look at the past power sharing arrangements. Past power sharing arrangements. Not even a long distance. This is talking about 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if you want to take it back to the Obasanjo. The power sharing agreement, like the PDP zoning formula, right? It's still very fresh. In fact, that what gave birth to the OB because of the betrayal of that sharing formula among the PDP, which is pretty much the dominant party until yesterday. It worked until it didn't. It worked until it didn't. It's collapsing under the weight of ambition and betrayal. Obasanjo overstayed. Yaradua death threw things into chaos. And Jonathan Tenor sparked a firestorm. Why? All you need to go to the biography of Tony Anene, Life and Politics. You understand why there's those that stand Gidigba say Jonathan must continue. Nobody saying that Jonathan won't continue. It's not up to you. At a certain point, it's not up to you. Not be you. People share blood. People die. People spend billions. You go carry your two levels like say, yeah, no day again. It's not up to you, my nigga. Unless that was the arrangement from the political party, just like that of South Africa in terms of Nelson Mandela. Anyway, so go read the biography of Tony Anene and you understand what that means. Anyway, because power is sticky and no one hands it over willingly, then there is the structural flaw. A one-time presidency capped at 4 years or 6 years, force leaders to think short time, which is again falling to the people who are thinking regional. Who are say, let's go back to regional. In that Obi tweet, he made mention of that when in order to in an attempt to respond to Soludo saying that anybody that proposed one time that is going to do one time should be subjected to psychiatric hospital. So he Obi alluded to the Constitution that the people who frame the Constitution and put 4-year time, that means they are mentally unstable. And I said yes, they are. Because if those people actually are not mentally stable, we will not be having this conversation today. Now, people write the Constitution of America, that's about 250 years ago. Yes, there is still a debate over it, but not at the extent that in which we are having our own. They could not see beyond our nose, beyond their nose. And that's exactly how I see the people who are saying, let's go back to regional. The problem we are having today is that one person is having too much power, and that is because of the population, over 200 million people. Great argument against that. Then let's go back to regional. Fine, the regionals are what? In their 5 million, 2 millions now, 10 million max. 30 years from now, what is going to happen? Each region will be in their hundreds of millions. Then we will start again. One person is having too much power. Come on, man, don't be like your forefathers. Think beyond your stomach. It's not about us. It's about the next 10 generations to come. Let states go. Give states their own autonomy, ability for them to run their shit. And you see how Nigerians will explode. Like China will be history in terms of how fast they're able to raise people out of poverty. Anyway, Obasanjo overstayed. Yar'Adua death threw things into chaos, and Jonathan Tenor sparked a firestorm. Why? Because power is sticky, and no one handed it over willingly. Then there is no structural flaw. A one-time presidency capped with 4 or 6 years force leaders to think short term. They will scramble to make a mark, push populist agenda, populist policies, or worse, loot what they can before. That's what short term is about. If I contributed 2 billion to make sure you become president, motherfucker, you make sure I get my 10 billion within the next 4 years. Oh, while go there. People don't think about that. They take billions to make a president. How do you pay those billion back? Ain't nobody the charity. If I spend 1 billion to support your agenda and you win, you make sure you give me 2-3 billion back within the next 4 years. Oh, while go happen. So it's beyond rhetoric. Just as I quoted yesterday about the former governor of New York, Mario Cuomo. It is what? Poetry when he campaign. Politics they are more poetic. They say nice things, but when it governs, it's firm. It's a matter of reality. It's not be spirit now. You have to pick the prompts. So this motherfucker scramble to make a mark, push for populist policy, or worse, loot what they can before the clock runs out, which is normal as a human. People underestimate the power of the religion that we all practice, willingly or unwillingly, which is capitalism. So everything are investments, need returns, so life can continue. Think infrastructure, education reform, and economic diversification, for instance. They get kicked to the curbs, right? Because those are long-term investments. Your policy will not really reflect when you actually focus on it, reforming those places. Take decades. And nobody get time for that crap. So Nigerian problems is decades of consistent effort, not a relay race where every runner drops the baton. I can relate to that shit. And let not ignore the elephants in the room, right? Enforcement, isn't that a problem? Who ensure this agreement stakes? Ain't nobody asked that question. Because PDP had that agreement. The Nigeria Constitution gave us that agreement. Obasanjo state Israel wanted to break it. So who makes sure the agreement sticks? Is it the Constitution? Obasanjo proved that it's not reliable. Silence on zoning or terms limits beyond the current 2 terms cap. That's not a gentleman agreement, but still. The courts, well, try to convince the Gen Zs that the court is actually worthy of trusting for a bid. No, they never agree with you. They are often swayed by the highest bidder. Normal, as anywhere in the world. The people, we are not one. We ain't united enough. We are not organized enough to say yes. Whatever the agreements that we agree on, the stakes that we're going to help people to implement it. No, we ain't there yet. So good luck relying on divided populists to hold politicians accountable when ethnic and regional loyalties dominate. We keep, anytime we want to make a point that sounds sweet to our ear, we push the obvious that we whine about every day aside. We are no longer Christian and Muslim. We are no longer Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, and we are no longer men and women. All that is off the table now because somebody who we think we believe in is making a proposal that sounds like a yori yori to our ear, and every common sense is off the window. So if the ethnicity and the regional loyalty dominates, without a bending mechanism, this deal is just a handshake. And we all know how those goes in Nigerian politics. Now, Peter Obi supporters may argue this is a step towards equity, a way to give every region a shot at the presidency. Wait a minute. But equity can't trump competence. A bad leader from the southeast is no better than a bad leader from the north. And tying leadership to regional quarters risks entrenching mediocrity over merit. Facts. We see Buhari, we see Tinubu, we see every one of them. Nigerian challenges poverty, insecurity, corruption. Don't care about your tribe or zone. They need solution, not a turn-by-turn roster. In the long run, this proposal is a recipe. It's a recipe for instability. It fuels regionalism, stokes resentment. You can seem to see that, but every day we complain that we are too divided. But we encourage, we amplify those sentiments whenever our favorite politician put it forward, knowingly and unknowingly. So, turn by turn, I never supported it and I'm still against it. So at one point or the other, somebody will really break the deal and distract from the real works of building a nation. If we want progress, let's focus on strengthening institutions, enforcing accountability, and electing leaders based on vision, not geography. Anything less is just a feel-good promise that will unveil faster than you can say. God for that reason. Thank yeah. So who will listen to these people?
Communist vow to serve only one term if elected president in 2027. In a statement on Sunday, Obi declared the pledge sacrosanct, drawing criticism from APC spokespersons and a divided reaction from the Labour Party. While the Abure-led leadership of the Labour Party dismissed the vow as political theatrics, the rival caretaker faction, led by Senator Nenadi Usman, endorsed the commitment, citing Obi's record of principled leadership. Last week, a founding member of the People's Democratic Party, Professor Jerry Gana, claimed that former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi would defeat any contender in Nigeria's northern states if he contested on the platform of the PDP. joining us on this show to discuss the current push by the PDP to bring back Peter Obi to the fold. And Obi's first-time only proposal is Chief Dan Ulasi, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party. Good morning, sir, and good to have you on the morning show again.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, Chief, well, two things clearly on the table. One, Mr. Peter Obi returning to the PDP, and then two, Mr. Peter Obi promising that he will do only one term only, which many Nigerians have received with skepticism on the grounds that, well, these promises are easy. When you get to that office, the reality is a different thing. The calculations are different. That's one. The second other issue that I would like you to react to is Minister Nyesom Wike giving the PDP conditions about whether Chief Dan Obi is still the national vice chairman, South or not, and whether another event that was held bringing up another person in the also in the South can hold or not, and that if nobody listens to him, the convention scheduled for November will not hold. And he gave those conditions. So one member of the party giving conditions, declaring conditions under which the convention can hold. This is not an evidence, clear evidence, that the PDP that we're even talking about is in ICU, as Senator Suswam once proclaimed on this same program.
I would say good morning again for having me. You know, in this country we have what we call free speech enshrined in our constitution. You know, you have the capacity to say what you like and how you like it, for as long as you don't abuse or blackmail anybody to the point that might necessitate his going to court to challenge what you have said. But I have to start by saying that, you know, democracy depends on, you know, several doses of civility. And the underlying word is civility, which most people, even in politics, do not understand. And because they don't, they exhibit some form of a reflective instinct towards self-preservation. And this reflective instinct that gives them rise to self-preservation makes them be stoking paranoia, you know, and it's a very dangerous thing to happen. So you see people who take oath for unsurpassed devotion to duty, when indeed what they mean is to have taken oath for unsurpassed devotion to stealing money. And that's why the country has not moved. So coming back to your question, you know, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, most people, the elite, the so-called educated, tend to forget that the Constitution says 4-year term. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria gives you a 4-year term. It's only, so that Constitution presumes that in 4 years, you should be able to make an impression, an impactful, you know, impression on your society. It's only when you do very, very well and you desire for a second term that you ask for a second term, which they may or may not give you. Because there are many places in this country where people zone offices just for 4 years. You do and somebody else goes. It doesn't mean that you must finish what you started, but if you have a project that is good and somebody else comes in, he will finish it. And I give you an example. If you come into Enugu now, we have one of the best governors in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Most of the projects abandoned over the past 16, 20 years. Coming to Enugu is like you're entering London. Beautiful. You can see how the governor is, you know, rehabilitating and finishing all the projects. So, in effect, Peter saying that he will do 4 years, I think it is sacrosanct. It's, by all standards in Nigerian politics, is a very honest person, a good Christian. He doesn't talk from both sides of his mouth. So I believe him that he will do it in 4 years. Anybody, if you discuss, I would like you people to have him on television on this Arise platform. And if you listen to him, you will see and believe that he will do everything he wants to do, maybe not 100%, in 4 years. That's what the Constitution presupposes, that if they felt that you can't do most things you have pledged to do in 4 years, they would have said, giving it 5 or 6 years. So Peter hasn't said anything out of point. It's his belief that in 1 year you should be able to do proper analysis, even before you come into office. Do a proper analysis for what your vision is and how to implement that vision. The only thing that people have a vision of stealing money, and all the time they are thinking of how to steal that money, and not anything that will be impactful to the common people.
But Chief, how about Wike's PDP and the proposal that Mr. Peter Obi should return to Wike's PDP?
Well, you see, like I normally say, the last interview I had on this platform, I said the problem with Wike, people, I don't believe in going to the end result without going where the experiment started. Some years ago, the whole 17 Southern governors, PDP and APC alike, met at Asaba and decided that all candidates of the two major political parties for the presidency must come from the South. APC did the same thing. PDP did not do it. The zoning committee that was headed by Samuel Ortom, former governor of Benue State, who was supposed to, because governor of Ugwan Ifeanyi of Enugu State, headed the committee for zoning party offices and the zone chairmanship to the north and secretary to the south, which was obeyed. The one headed by Ortom was supposed to zone elective offices, and coming to presidency, he remained silent, which was regarded as sabotage. And that time I mentioned it that something is amiss. It was that silence that enabled Atiku Abubakar to run, because his party did not zone anything to anywhere. Unfortunately, he ran and he lost. So since then, the crisis has been on and on. It is that crisis that Wike took advantage of, because he ran in that election, himself and a couple of other people, and had believed that if he ran and without the interference of Atiku Abubakar, he would have won, and possibly he would have been president of Nigeria today. So since then, things have not been normal between Wike and the PDP. In fact, 2 months to that election in 2003, I traveled to Port Harcourt, and I met with him for hours before I came back to Enugu. So to appeal to him, let bygone be bygone, that our party is supreme. Let us try to win election. But he didn't quite accept my plea. So like I said, constitutionally has a free speech, free behavior pattern, anything, free association. So he decided that with what PDP did, that there was no basis of trusting them anymore, unfortunately.
Okay, what about this concept of luring Peter Obi back to the PDP? I think Dr. Abati alluded to this, and this is a conversation that's gaining momentum. However, I want to put it aside some comments from Senator Olujimi, who just ported from the PDP to APC recently. She said that, well, she left the PDP because the PDP has nothing to offer anybody. I paraphrase. So it's quite intriguing that in the public space, there's conversations of, luring Peter Obi to the PDP. Your thoughts? Do you think that he would be the right flag bearer for the PDP? And do you think that the PDP would enhance or hinder his chances going towards 2027?
Well, I'm happy you mentioned the fellow Olujimi, or whatever he calls himself. You would have asked him, what has he offered to PDP? People are always looking, because we are no more in federal government and there is no money to share, they are going to where they will share money. Isn't that very unfortunate that somebody of that standing in Nigerian politics is leaving PDP because they have nothing to offer? What has he offered to make PDP better? 2 weeks ago, we had a founders and stakeholders meeting. I was there. The next day, we had a NEC meeting, and virtually all our governors were there. setting up committees to try to make the party, a lot more productive so that we can stand the election of 2027 coming. So when people leave because of one, interest, maybe financial, maybe otherwise, but tell me, I stood behind Ekweme when we were forming PDP, how many years ago? And if I have to leave PDP today, there has to be a compelling reason that tells me that where I'm going is better than where I'm living. Can anybody tell me in this country whether APC is better than PDP, even in opposition? They are even speaking like opposition party who know that they're in government. So what will attract me going over to APC? Nothing. With all the parties, all the governors they have, there's nothing exciting about them. So if anybody is leaving PDP,
Our Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate, Peter Obi, has sparked intense debate after reiterating his commitment to serve only one term if elected president in 2027. The declaration, which he described as non-negotiable, has drawn sharp criticism from the ruling All Progressive Congress and divided reactions within his own party. While the Labour Party's Abure-led faction dismissed the pledge as a political strategy, the rival caretaker group on the of the idea given the existential challenges facing Nigeria. Party's 2023 presidential candidate, Peter Obi, has sparked intense debate after reiterating his commitment to serve only one term if elected president in 2027. The declaration, which he described as non-negotiable, has drawn sharp criticism from the ruling All Progressive Congress and divided reactions within his own party. While the Labour Party's Abure-led faction dismissed the pledge as a political strategy, the rival caretaker group under Senator Nenadi Usman endorsed it, citing Peter Obi's history of principled leadership. The APC, however, dismissed the promise as insincere theatrics. The controversy deepened after Anambra State Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo mocked the pledge during a political rally, suggesting that politicians making such promises require psychiatric evaluation. But in a detailed response on social media, Obi defended his stance by citing historical examples of transformative leaders like Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, Nelson Mandela, who achieved lasting legacies despite brief tenures. Political watchers have been divided into two camps following Peter Obi's promise to be a one-term president if elected. What is the feasibility of the idea given the existential challenges facing Nigeria, and why the vow is being greeted with skepticism? Lawyer Kenneth Okonkwo joins us for a conversation. I want to say thank you very much for joining us today. And let's get it started. This one-term thing, why are people taking it with a pinch of salt? Because if the politicians themselves are knocking this, are they almost indicting themselves by saying that don't ever believe what we tell you on our campaign trail because we do not mean what we say, if they are saying that this is political theatrics to probably just get themselves into power? Are they all indicting themselves, talking about all the politicians and the political parties knocking this down?
Well, thank you for inviting me, and thank you, viewers, for joining us. First and foremost, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria made it clear. In Section 135, subsection 2, and Section 180, subsection 2 of the Constitution is very clear. The term of a president or a governor is 4 years. 4 years. The Constitution was direct. He said the president, after spending 4 years in office, vacates his office. At times, politicians behave as if they don't have any job. So when somebody says he's going to spend only 4 years, he simply stated a constitutional provision. But here is just a little addition. The Constitution says you are no longer qualified to contest if you have contested for that position twice in previous elections. And this is by Section 137, subsection 1B, and Section 187, subsection 1B. So the issue here is this. If you say you want to contest one term, that is your own idea. That is your own opinion. You are entitled to it. In Nigeria and in some African countries, where elections are deemed not to be free and fair, that's where you have all these unnecessary arguments. Why did I say that? Even abroad, you're not sure, even when you're an incumbent, whether if you contest, whether you will win. That is where you will know that your term of office is not 8 years, it's not 2 terms, it's 1 term. So it ought not to even be a point of argument. Because even if you are an incumbent, if you recontest, you can fail. The only thing the Constitution says is that if you fail 100 times, if you have not been elected twice, you are still qualified to be governor or president. So for me, I do not see any issue whatsoever, except, like you said, distrust of themselves, and 2, because of the belief that there is no free and fair election. If there is free and fair election, then the issue of 2 terms, 8 years would not arise. But here is another issue. Because of our rotational arrangement, which has this proposition of 8 years for South, 8 years for North, politicians now do not want to place themselves in a disadvantaged position, because 4 years having been taken by a Southern politician, if you are a fresh politician and you want to do another 8 years, you will know that you're dead on arrival. So it's a political strategy on its own for you to accede that you will do 4 years. It is not because the politician did not want to do 8 years, no. But he knows that he has only 4 years left from the Southern, remaining term. But here is another issue. By agreeing you will do 1 year, you do 4 years, you have also agreed that if there is any other Northerner that say he will do also 4 years, then both of you are at the same level of equity, because there would be no injustice either section. So there is nothing wrong in a party, for instance, especially an opposition party that doesn't have an incumbent, saying in order that Nigerians will be free to trust them, that they are going to have a transitional government whereby whoever is going to contest would have to agree to do 1 term and do not exercise his constitutional rights to recontest. A party can do that, so that whether they present a candidate from the North or from the South, the Nigerians from either section will not feel that they have been betrayed or an injustice meted out to them. For instance, if a Northerner wins in another political party and commits to do 4 years, then what it means is that the South and the North has shared for 4 years like they did during the Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan period, and there will be no injustice. So there is nothing, absolutely nothing that ought to raise concerns or arguments. But like you said, a man who kills by the sword does not like people to wave sword at his back. So politicians have made themselves very untrustworthy. So they go the extra mile to prove themselves when they make any proposition.
All right, Mr. Okonkwo, that's noted. A lot of people might have focused on the what in terms of what was said, but you've drawn some focus to the why this move might have been made in terms of the rotational arrangement and being a political strategy. But let's look more, examine at the why a bit closer. Do you think there are any personal reasons that might not be overt for this declaration being made by the aspiring president of Nigeria?
No. It's purely a political strategy. There is nothing hidden about it because every politician would want to complete his 2 terms if he has the opportunity. But of course, if this were 2023, the same politician and presidential candidate or aspirant would not make the same promise. Like I said, as it stands today, a Southerner has taken 4 years. So it will be political suicide for you to come and say you want to do 8 years. Nobody will vote for you, not even from South or from the North. So it is purely a political strategy, nothing else. Anybody telling you it's because he wants to be like Mandela or want to be like this, no, that's not true. But again, the person may want to tell you that just for you to believe he will do 4 years. He may want to tell you that he can still achieve his basic objectives within 4 years. Just to encourage you to know that he is serious in not trying to exercise his constitutional right to recontest election. So there is nothing beyond political strategy. That's what it is.
All right, some political scientists will usually say that we missed a major turning point in our nascent democracy, whereby we did not see through that particular law or that particular policy that would have become law, whereby it would have been 1 year, 6 years. Do you think Nigeria would have been better off if we had decided to go down that road than trying to do 2 terms or maybe of 8 years?
Now, from day one, from 1999, I have been in support of 1-term presidency, 1-term executive tenure. And the reason is very clear. The issue of 2 terms have introduced a whole lot of politicization of Nigeria, which leads to division and balkanization, which leads